It was late at night when three friends, Sara, Bilal, and Nida, approached the abandoned village of Ravenwood. The road was empty, lined with twisted, looming trees whose branches swayed in the cold wind as if whispering secrets. The air carried a strange chill, and the fog thickened with every passing second. Sara shivered. "This place feels off. I don't like it here." Bilal laughed nervously. "Relax. We just get our footage and leave. Nothing to be afraid of." As they reached the village center, a dilapidated mansion loomed before them. Its doors were wide open, and through the dense fog, they could see shadows flickering inside. Nida's heartbeat quickened. "Are we really going in there?" she whispered. Sara, determined to get the footage, replied, "Let's just do this and get it over with." The surrounding houses were old and broken, windows shattered, and walls covered in moss. Every step they took seemed louder than the last, echoing through the silent streets. Stepping into the mansion, a cold gust of air hit them. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Curtains moved on their own, dust floated in the beams of the dim light, and faint, almost human-like shapes appeared on the walls. Sara raised her camera, catching a fleeting, blurry face approaching them in the lens. Bilal tried to lighten the mood, but the eerie feeling kept growing. Inside, the wooden floorboards creaked under their weight, and the shadows seemed to stretch toward them. Every corner seemed alive, breathing with unseen horrors. The mansion's silence was deceptive. It was as if the walls themselves were watching. By the end of their first hour, it became clear that Ravenwood was not an ordinary village. The mansion and the village itself felt alive with an unseen presence, feeding on fear and curiosity. Inside the mansion, Sara, Bilal, and Nida felt the air thicken as if it were alive. Every corner, every shadow seemed to move independently. Curtains swayed without wind, floorboards trembled under invisible weight, and walls appeared smeared with ghostly handprints. Sara began recording. In the camera's lens, a shadowy face materialized, eyes dark and hollow, moving slowly toward them. Nida could feel a gaze on her, unseen yet intense. Bilal attempted to joke to ease the tension, but his voice faltered when a soft whisper echoed through the halls. "Why are you here?" A chair suddenly rocked by itself. The friends exchanged terrified glances. Dust swirled in patterns too deliberate to be natural. Each shadow seemed to grow bolder, creeping closer with every step. When they tried to move deeper into the mansion, the hallways began shifting. Doors appeared where none existed, corridors twisted like a labyrinth. The shadows multiplied, forming vague, human-like silhouettes that seemed to anticipate their movements. By the end, the mansion had revealed its first warning. Ravenwood was a trap, alive with entities feeding on fear. Every breath and heartbeat heightened their awareness of the unseen dangers surrounding them. The friends ascended to the second floor. The hallways stretched endlessly, walls blotched with ghostly handprints, and dim light flickered erratically, casting moving shadows across the floors. Floorboards creaked underfoot, doors opened and slammed on their own. Sara filmed everything, capturing shadows that seemed to lurk just out of focus. Nida's fear intensified, sensing a presence stalking them at every turn. From the end of a long hallway, a dark figure appeared. Its face human yet hollow, eyes black voids. Bilal's jokes fell flat. Even he felt the terror creeping up his spine. In a room adorned with old portraits, the faces in the paintings shifted, following the friends. The air filled with a low, almost inaudible whispering. The floor trembled, curtains moved like living entities. Every hallway seemed alive, turning into a maze to disorient them further. Their fear escalated as the shadows closed in. Each friend felt the walls pressing in, a constant reminder that Ravenwood's hallways were designed to trap and torment the living. Despite growing fear, the trio climbed to the attic. The door creaked ominously as they entered. A cold wind swept through, carrying with it faint whispers. Dim light revealed boxes and trunks moving subtly on their own. In the camera's lens, a shadowed figure emerged, approaching with slow, deliberate steps. The closer it got, the louder their heartbeats became. Dust swirled around them, and the shadows seemed to twist and extend toward the friends. Sara and Nida clung together, realizing the attic itself was alive. Floorboards shook violently. Walls seemed to breathe. Bilal opened an old chest, revealing twisted masks and stains resembling dried blood. The shadows pressed closer. Nida whispered in terror, "We have to leave now." But the attic seemed to stretch endlessly, trapping them in a web of fear. The camera captured every movement of the shadow as it advanced, ready to consume them. The friends fled into the old village cemetery. Broken gravestones jutted out from the earth. Fog and silence enveloped them. Whispers seemed to rise from beneath the soil. Walking between the graves, the ground trembled. Hands emerged from the earth, grasping for them. Shadows shifted unnaturally, twisting and crawling along the tombstones. A grave cracked open, revealing a dark figure with hollow eyes. Nida screamed. Bilal tried to protect them, but the cemetery paths changed with each step, trapping them in a shifting labyrinth. The camera recorded every horrifying moment, the shadows' movements growing bolder. Ravenwood's power over the living became unmistakable. They entered a derelict chapel. Broken pews, peeling paint, and dust filled the space. Candles flickered on their own. Shadows swirled in the camera's lens. Ghostly faces emerged from the walls, whispering unintelligible words. Bilal felt the chapel breathe around them, every corner a predator. A voice whispered, "You do not belong here. This place is ours." Fear intensified. The chapel trapped them both physically and spiritually. Fleeing the chapel, they entered a dense forest on the village outskirts. Fog obscured all visibility. Trees swayed, whispering like voices. Shadows emerged from the fog, closing in. A dark figure rose from the forest floor, forcing them to flee. Paths twisted and shifted like a maze. Every shadow heightened their terror. Over a dark river, wooden planks creaked underfoot. Shadows flitted across the water. Hands emerged from below, trying to grab them. Paths on the bridge seemed to move, disorienting the friends. Every shadow grew closer. An escape seemed impossible. The trio entered an ancient clock tower. Tick-tock echoed ominously. Shadows multiplied. Floorboards shook. Walls whispered. Sara and Nida became trapped in a room. Bilal tried to find a way out, but shadows blocked every exit. The camera captured every frightening movement. Finally, the friends reached the village center. All shadows gathered, looming over them. A dark figure whispered, "The secret of Ravenwood lies within your fear. Now you belong to it forever." Sara, Bilal, and Nida vanished. The camera recorded their final moments.